What is going on, everyone? Tyler Rodriguez here from Photo Booth 101 University Podcast. I am here with my guy, Hans. Unfortunately, Drew couldn't be in this episode today, but we're wishing him the best, like always. Drew, we miss you, but we'll handle this. Don't worry about this one. We won't ruin the podcast, right, Hans?
I'll try not to.
Yeah, no, we'll be all right. All right, guys. So we're going to get to it, guys. We're going to start talking about the first thing that we thought about today was the importance of having a logo for your business. Now, Hans, in just a couple words, what do you think the importance of having a logo for your company is when you're starting a photo booth business or any business in that matter?
I mean, the first thing that jumps out at me is branding. I mean, if you know, you want to be seen, you want your logo to start being recognized, something that, jumps out. The more you get it out there, the more you push it out there, you got to be really aggressive with it. The more you'll be noticed. But besides that, it's just, branding on yourself, putting it on your uniform, having you know, the photo booth 101, the photo booth 101, right?
Uh-oh.
Hint, hint.
Hint,
But
hint.
you know, um,
We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast.
but yeah, you want to have that on your uniform. You did make up a good point about like just looking like staff, looking professional. It opens up doors that, if you're just a regular guest at a quinceañera or a wedding, if you look like staff, people are gonna take you a little more seriously. Like, hey, what do you need? Whereas in, if you're a guest, they probably just assume you're, like, oh, I'm just looking for a fork.
Exactly. What I think is good about it too is that it also helps you, and this is going to get to our second topic, is an easier access into the venue. Like you said, you look like staff. So if you have your company logo on your shirt that says, for example, your company, Best Photo Booths LA, they're gonna see, okay, this is the photo booth vendor. They're gonna allow you to take their back exits, their emergency exit doors that they'll be able to shut off the alarms and open them up for you temporarily. They'll let you be able to use their loading zones that they usually use for their catering, when their food truck services come inside and stuff like that. They're going to be able to let you use all this stuff that their company uses, that their employees use. So it's easier and better for you to get inside and set up your photo booth faster. Which leads me to my next topic, which is the best place to set up your photo booth in, a venue. So Hans, what do you think, just in a couple words, where you think the best place to set up your photo booth or your 360 photo booth at that? Because I know you have a 360 now. So
Yeah. No, that's a really good topic, just because every time people ask me like, hey, where would you like to set up, or where can we set you up? And sometimes they just, especially like, I don't know what to the quinceañeras, man, but mom, the mom running everything, she wants to tuck us in at a corner because they don't want us to take up space in the dance floor or space in the dining area. And I always tell them like, look, I'll do it. If you want me to, I'll do it. But I'm gonna tell you, if I'm out of sight, I'm out of mind. If people don't see the photo booth, they're not gonna want to use the photo booth. I was like, so you could go ahead and pay me all this money that you're paying me, and I'll have a chill event, and I'll, have, stare at people having fun. I'll do that all day. But, I tell them like, you want to put me with the crowd, you want to put me near the dance floor, because if you put me away, people are not gonna want to use it, and then you're gonna look at me like, well, this was a waste of money. So kind of push back a little bit. I mean, there's ways to, go about it, but you definitely don't want to be out of sight, out of mind, because I try to get, events out of my events, make it a tree, grow it. So you push. I always try to push back if they try to put me in a corner. What about you?
yeah, honestly, I feel the same way, man. Like when they put you in a corner, and I've had those situations where, like you said, the mom comes in and she tries to dictate where the photo book's going to go, where you're going to be set up, and then you're locked in an area where not a lot of people go in. I've actually got us into a situation where they put us like by where the hallway was, where the entrance was, and not a lot of people used us because people walk in and then they're on the dance floor, they're by the DJ, 99% of the time of the party, and then by the time they come out, they're like, oh, there was a photo booth here. And sometimes I had to get to the point where I had to come out and tell the DJ, like, hey, can you announce that we have a photo booth and stuff like that? And they would do it, but still wouldn't bring a lot of eyes on, your business, or just for the person who booked you. And then when, you send them that live gallery later on down the line, throughout the night, they're going to be like, no, not a lot of people use the photo booth. And
Exactly.
you're gonna tell them like, well, you put us in a bad spot, and we did tell you that that was probably not going to work out. I think the best place is to have your photo booth set up. If sometimes the venue already has a specific area that they think is best for their venue to have the photo booth. Because I've had photo booth like venues and tell us like, oh, the photo booth always goes here. Like, but they put you in decent spots. So the places I've seen that venues put you in that I think are nice are by the DJ. Okay, because obviously everyone's going to be by the DJ, requesting songs and stuff like that. So people are always going to be by the DJ. I think that's a great spot. Another good spot is obviously by the dance floor. If the dance floor is a little farther from the DJ, right on the dance floor is a perfect spot because, again, a lot of people are in that area having a good time. And actually, my favorite spot to be put at is by the bar. Now, a lot of people might say like, oh, like the bar's not a good spot to be put there because there's a lot of drunkies and there's a lot of people who are drunk. No, I think that's the best spot because I think that's when people are having the most fun when they're drinking. They're getting into their moods, they're having a good time, and then they see the photo booth and they're like, oh, let's jump in, let's go take a picture, and they'll go take a picture real quick. And it's just fun. I feel like when you're drinking, and I'm not saying alcohol is the best thing in the world, so no one's take my words that the wrong way, but like when you're drinking, having a good time, you're by the bar, you're with all your buddies, you want to go, you look at the photo booth and you see it. And I feel like, that's where you're going to get the most traffic because, most people when they're at weddings, quinceañeras, sweet 16s, they're drinking, they're having a good time, etc. So,
I mean, I
yeah.
have something to say on that. If they must, dude, I've been put outside, like outside the venue where I'm at. I did a where the event that I told you that I met Lamar Odom. So they put me outside. They didn't want me inside the actual ranch house because this is at a ranch house. And I was like fine with it. But if they're gonna put you in that situation, be ready to kind of force people to use it. Because as they were going inside the venue, they were gonna come out because I also had the bull out there, but they were gonna come out. But like I told them, like you come up with little things that you could kind of be like clever with. So as they were coming in, I was like, hey, you want to use the photo booth for the birthday girl so that she has some memories? And like, no, we'll be fine. And this was like a little like a little while ago, so it's still winter time.
Right.
And,
That actually brings me to the audio guest book too. I know we didn't really talk about bringing that up, but it kind of reminded me of what you said about like, hey, do you want to take the photo? You want to take a picture with the photo booth, like right in front of the entrance? And like, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, I'll come back. A lot of photo booth owners, if you're listening, the audio guest book is a great, add-on for your photo booth business. If you guys don't know, audio guest book's a little rotary phone, old school, and what it is, it's like mixed with obviously new technology, has a chip inside of it, and then you could pre-record the person's voice who's having the party. So if it's the birthday girl, she could leave a message. Hey, it's the birthday girl. Please leave a message after the beeps. They leave a message, and then the client and the guests get to leave a message like, "Hey, happy birthday! We're glad to be here. Save." That's usually in front of the entrance, right? And there's actually times where there was a time where we had a Sweet 16 a couple of weeks ago, and we had the photo booth set up, and then we had the audio guest book, and a lot of guests come in, and we were like, "Hey, do you want to use the audio guest book?" "Oh no, it's okay. Like we're good." And I've had situations like that with the photo booth, where people would be like, "Oh," I would tell them, "Hey, you want to use the photo booth?" Because again, I've been in entrances, like that's where my photo booth was set up, and they're like, "Oh no, we'll come back." And then I've had situations like I said earlier, where the client's like, "Hey, no, not a lot of people use the photo booth." And I've never got asked for a refund, but I kind of felt the intention that these clients were like, "Hey, like they didn't use it much. Can we get a refund?" But that's what my intentions were that they were thinking. But I tell
but I
them,
mean, what I told you was like when we're outside, like as they were coming in, when I told you, it was like during winter time. Not only do you mention like it's for the birthday girl, but I was like, hey, it's gonna be cold later. It's gonna be cold. You're not gonna want to be outside here. Use it before it gets cold. And then people will be like, oh yeah, you know what? Like my wife does have a dress on that's not very revealing. She's probably not gonna want to come out here later when it's super cold. So I'll be
yeah,
like, yeah, do that right now. And then I will tell the gentleman, I'll be like, hey, before you get sloppy, before you get a little tipsy, you might want to take one while you look proper. Like, oh yeah, you know what? Like, yeah. So kind of like throw those little ends, kind of encourage them because the more you encourage them, the more you're gonna get events out of it because you're like, you know what, this was awesome. You
yeah.
want to get the most use out of it.
Yeah, no, I think the one thing I think is that you should definitely also have the person who booked you. So let's say it's a Sweet 16. You should tell the mom, obviously it's 99% the mom or the dad. I'm gonna say the mom that books someone for a Sweet 16. And this is what we did. We actually went up to her, or even if it's for a regular birthday party or whatever, or for a wedding, you tell the bride and groom, hey, is there any way that you could, like, tell the DJ? Because if we tell them, they'll still announce it, but maybe if you tell them, they'll prioritize it a little more. Or hey, can you like start walking around telling your guests? My thing is, what I tell them is, obviously, and I'm not saying this the wrong way, everybody at the event is special because you invited those people to your event. But what I always say, especially for the audio guest book and the photo booth, is to let the make sure that the people who are in the event, who are very special to you, the grandmas, the grandpas, the aunts, the uncles, the people who you really love dearly, your immediate family, make sure that they use the photo booth for sure. Make sure they jump in, the grandmas, the grandpas, and all that stuff, the moms, the dads, the daughters, the brothers, the sisters, all the important people. Because not saying everyone's not important, but if 90-year-old Uncle Joe don't want to use the photo booth, it is what it is. But like, hey, grandma, 75 years old, she's been there your whole life. Once, you got to make sure she's in it, because that's memories forever. A lot of people don't see that the photo booth's not just there for the entertainment of the party, but it's there for the memories that these people who are having the event hold forever. And this is what I always talk to my clients about. I tell them, like, our job is not only to just bring the photo booth and make sure you guys have a good time. Our job is to make sure those photos are taken and sent to you right away, so you have memories that'll last forever. Like, and that's one of my slogans. Like, these pictures will last forever. These are memories forever. You're going to look back 10, 15 years from now and say, dang, I remember my wedding. Oh, I remember that sweet 16 I had. Oh man, look at Grandma Lou. Oh man, I miss her, like, but it's great that I have this picture. And, for us to be able to have that impact on these people's lives, people don't see that. We're just not the photo booth operators. We're the people who are making them go back in time and think of the memories that they had with the photo booth. So, I think, like I said, backtracking to this, where the photo booth is set up is an important spot. Again, like I said, by the bar where people are having a good time, on the dance floor where people are having even a better time, and right by the DJ. So where people are going up to the DJ to request a song, they see the photo booth and they jump and use it right after they're done talking to the DJ.
I agree, man. I agree.
Sir.
Hey, man, I kind of want to rewind on that because I had a story about the when you said like having your logo and having a uniform looking special, looking like staff. Dude, I don't know if I mentioned this to you. So I had this event up in the desert and like because I'm in California and there's a area, if anyone knows the AV area, the Antelope Valley area here in California. It's a very desert. It's like by the Mojave Desert. People might know that. Um, bro, I got to this event. Have you ever gotten an address where it's not an address but it's coordinates?
What do you mean?
Like like GPS coordinates?
Maybe on DoorDash. I used to do DoorDash when I was younger, and I,
Mhm.
I always used to get the wrong addresses, but I don't know what you kind of mean by that. The addresses here in Jersey are different than California as far as zip codes and stuff.
No, no, no. Like the legit gave me like coordinates like 13.10 blah 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 comma
Oh,
21.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
You know,
Yeah. That was more, not really for a customer, more for DoorDash. Because when I ask the customer or the client for an address, I make sure, like, I look up the address weeks or even months before the event and make sure, okay. And I'll even zoom in on Google Maps and say, okay, this is the venue. Like, I'll look and it'll say like Grand Marquis venue. And I'm like, okay, that has to be it. Like, there's no way that they're sending me this address and it just so happens on Apple Maps to say Grand Marquis venue. So I'm like, okay, we're good.
no, no. My client straight up told me like this venue doesn't have an existing address. Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
have. It's
I've never had that situation.
bro. I was so scared when I was about to show. I was like, dude, this is like some like narco type of thing. Like like I'm gonna show up with all this equipment. They're gonna like it's a heist, bro. But no,
Yeah.
it was legit. But just because this venue was huge. It's like in the middle of the desert, so I'm pretty sure the land was cheap, and it was such a big venue. So like there was a huge parking lot and it was made for like 350 people, probably more, no, like way more. But like that's how many people they had at this event. Because I had my uniform on and I looked like staff, I talked to securities because there were securities on ATVs because the property was so big. And I
Mhm.
told them, I was like, hey, I'm staff. Can I park all the way in the front? Bro, they escorted me to the front and they're like, you can park right there. So that's what I'm talking about, looking professional, looking, with the logo. Because if not, bro, I would have to like have that wagon, and it would have taken me so long to in that big old parking lot that they had. So
Yeah, no, no, I really do believe that having a company logo on your shirt or something that has your company name on it makes it a lot easier for the venue to trust you and let you use their employee parking lots, their employee entrances, use their loading zones and stuff like that. And it gives you easier access to set up and take down. So when the event's starting up and everyone's coming in and parking in front of the venue, you don't got to be going around them and looking unprofessional going through them and stuff like that, pushing your dolly or your cart around them and stuff. I think having everything backstage is kind of like great, and that's why like in a performance hall, like when people are doing a concert, stuff like that, you never see the people setting up the stage or setting up the microphones and stuff, because that's all done behind the scenes. And just like a wedding, just like a sweet 16, just like a quinceanera, just like a bar mitzvah, anything, a corporate event, everything that's setting up for that day should be behind the scenes, and we're part of that. The DJ always sets up, and then no one sees the DJ set up. By the time you get to a party, DJ's already ready to go. Which leads me to something else I was thinking about bringing up is how long does it take you to set up, and how many hours or minutes before the event do you get there?
So for my 360, I try to get there about 2 hours before the event.
Yeah.
And for my photo booth, if it's prints, I try to get there like an hour and a half before the event.
Yeah.
If it's just like a regular, just digital drop off, like very simple, dude, I don't need more than 30 minutes.
That's great.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll still get there like an hour before, but I don't need more than 30
Yeah,
minutes.
usually I'm in the hour mark. I usually stay an hour before. I'll usually get there an hour beforehand, and then obviously set up, make sure I'm good. Even with digital, I always like to be there an hour early just in case. Even sometimes an hour and a half. Like I'll set up, and if I'm done in 30 minutes after, even though I'm still an hour early, then I'll go and just walk out. Grab something to eat real quick nearby. Go to a corner store, grab a drink.
Will you let them in the booth?
What's that?
If you set up early, if you're early, will you open the booth, or you don't let them use it until
I'm usually there so early where people aren't even coming in yet. Like I don't know about you guys, but a lot of parties here, they'll say the party starts at 8 and people aren't really even in there till 30 minutes after. Usually they're late. That's kind of like a cocktail hour type of thing. But yeah, no, if the booth is open, I'll turn on the light, and if they want to use it, there's been times I was there an hour and a half early, and I walked out to go grab something to drink, and then I'll look at my live gallery on my phone, and then all of a sudden I'll see that people are using the booth, and I'm like, well, I set it up, it's ready to go, so I'm not going to complain about it, because I got there early for that reason. So to make sure things are running smoothly, so those people actually taking those pictures for me is actually helping me out, because now I know for sure the photo booth is working and it's doing what it needs to do.
They're your
So,
test dummies.
so they're my test dummies. Yeah,
Gotcha.
basically.
That's smart. Yeah, man. I think we also wanted to talk about CRMs. Talk about I don't know what you use. I use HoneyBook. Um, I use HoneyBook. I use CRMs for. I use HoneyBook for my Tito Stores mechanical bowls, and then I use it for my photo booth. At first I wanted to get the CRM just because I heard HoneyBook, was able to like do the credit card transactions. I'm like, oh, two stones with two birds with one stone type of thing. But it really started saving me time, man. Those smart fields on HoneyBook where it literally just plugs in, like the customer when they send you the contact form, and has their name, address, blah blah, and then when you're like sending the invoice on the contracts, it just fills it in. It makes it so much faster, dude. I love it.
Yeah, no, I learned with HoneyBook, man, is that like there's times now where I'll go to sleep at nighttime, and I wake up in the morning and I'm booked, and I'm like, I didn't have to talk to no one. I was doing this the hard way for months, man. I was like, I'm gonna invest this money. I think it was like 190 something dollars for the year. I think it
Really?
was something. Yeah, it was like
Yeah, you
190.
didn't right now it's like 50% off. And then like a year ago when I got my first one, it was 50% off. So I felt both times I paid like $96 for the whole year.
Yeah, no, I guess I caught it at the wrong time, but it's just good because you're able to go to sleep, and this CRM is like a robot. It's doing everything for you. It has the contracts, like you said, where they're able to fill in the contracts where they need to fill it in, where they need to sign, what they're getting for whatever they're getting for, like if they're getting the photo booth, they're getting your backdrop, etc. Then you could also obviously, like you said, the booking form, which is cool. They could fill that out, and then on top of that, the payment. They could make the deposit right there. Boom. You wake up and you have $100 extra in your bank account, or maybe even a full payment. They might just pay the full thing right there. So I think it's cool. I think having a CRM is definitely a time saver. I think it helps you also get booked faster. I think it helps the customer not, because a lot of customers I notice and a lot of clients, don't like to talk to people who are, doing, like, you obviously work customer service as well. As a photo booth owner or a business owner in general, you're everything. You're customer service, your finance, you're everything. So a lot of people don't like that, being on the phone for an hour talking about what you're going to give them, this and that. They just rather just look on your website, say, okay, I like this, I like this, let me just book them, boom, done. You don't communicate with them, they send you the deposit, and you just show up the day of their event, and they pay you the rest, or et cetera, a week before, whatever your contract says. So I think it's great. I think less communication with the customer, but they know what they're getting, and that's the cool part, is that you don't need to communicate much. But I've also had those clients who've used Honeybook and then still wanted to chat with me, and I give them an option where they're still able, hey, if you have any more questions, would you like a phone call? That's part of on my booking form. And I'll send them a phone call. Hey, this is Tyler from TQR Events. I see you had more questions about the photo booth or whatever, and I'll talk to them. Some people do like that communication, that hearing about what your business has to offer.
Yeah.
But then again, like I said, there's a lot of people who don't like that. They just rather just book you and call it a day, And I think that goes a lot for more like the corporate people. When you're doing a big corporate event, I feel like those people don't want to be on the phone talking. They're busy, they're just trying to get their day done with work. And part of their day is to plan their event sometimes. Some of these employees, these 9 to 5 employees, are coordinating events for their holiday Christmas party and stuff like that. So I feel like, they're just trying to get a task that to them, that's another task that they have to do throughout their 9 to 5. So they'll just jump on, they'll see your website, okay, here's the prices, boom, 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 book you, they'll put the deposit in, they won't even communicate with you. And boom, you have an event and you didn't have to do anything. So like Drew always says, less is more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. When I've worked with like big clients, I have a corporate gig that I can't talk about, but you know about it. It's an NDA that I got going on. But I know it irks me that I can't talk about it. But it's a big contract that I'm working on. Well, it's pretty much already done. But I haven't talked to them at all. They did everything through Honeybook and through email. And I the 2 times that I've talked to it had to be through Zoom calls because I had to talk to like how we are doing right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you're right. Like booking just with big clients, all they want is just email and Honeybook to make it. But they're like, you know, give us, let us pay by card. Like they want to get things done. They don't have time to chat. So
Yeah.
that's what I like about Honeybook.
Yeah, and I've had clients where, like, they'll be like, hey, like, for example, I'm gonna use Facebook Marketplace for this example. I'll have clients who will tell me like, hey, is this available? And I'm like, hey, yeah, this is available for rent. Here's the rundown, whatever. Do you need a backdrop? Do you need the inflatable? What's the start time, the end time, this and that? I'll do like a little questionnaire that I have copy and pasted that I just sent to Facebook Marketplace when I get those type of clients, and they're like, they'll give me all the answers, and I'm like, okay, would you like to jump on a phone call so we could talk more? They're like, no, I'm just looking for a price. And to them, I see it as, okay, you're already jumping kind of the gun here, but okay, here's my price. And at that point, those are customers that are just shopping around.
Mhm.
But some of them just like to get straight to the point. What's the price so I can pay for it and just call it a day?
Yeah, 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 man. Well, let's get to this next topic right here. I'm really excited about this next topic just because I've I'm not saying I've been successful at it, but I don't have a DCLR photo booth, but in the future I probably will. I'm still trying to decide which one I'm gonna get. I'm really you know, but just how to market your digital photo booth versus a DSLR. I've been asked maybe like 3 times, 4 times maybe. Like, do you have a is your photo booth a DSLR or is it a iPad? And I don't like using an iPad. You guys shouldn't use if you have an iPad photo booth, you should be using, digital photo booth or selfie photo booth. Just don't call it an iPad. It takes away the experience. And even though, they think like, oh, it's just an iPad, like yeah, go ahead and try it yourself. See how that works out for you.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, and I'm a victim to this. I was a victim. I always said iPad, 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 to the point where Drew's like, strike one, strike two. Like, stop saying iPad.
Yeah.
But
I mean, amongst ourselves, you could call it an iPad, but you take away the magic, you take away, the credibility when you tell a customer it's an iPad photo booth. So
yeah, because then they're gonna be like, hey, well, it's an iPad, I could do it, like, no problem.
go
And
ahead, try.
yeah, go ahead, try it. Go ahead, go make a LumaBooth account. I'll be an attendant for free and just
Yeah.
watch. But yeah, no, they don't know, how difficult it is behind the scenes. But yeah, no, I think the mirror booths are nice. Don't get me wrong, they're beautiful. They're beautiful for weddings and sweet 16s. I think they're pretty cool. I actually even considered having one for my wedding, but I ended up going the digital photo booth route with the inflatable, and it came out great. And I had prints. I have all these prints still to this day. They gave me a scrapbook with a bunch of pictures that my guests and people in my family took and my friends, and those are memories I cherish forever. But
Mm.
I did, look at the DSLR. Oh, that would be cool to have at my wedding. But to me, now that I'm thinking as a photo booth owner, it's super heavy. That thing has to weigh at least 200 pounds. Like, there's no way that thing doesn't weigh. Like, okay, like,
At least
what do you think it weighs? It can't be less than
I
150.
don't know, man, but I seen two people have to carry it.
Yeah, it has to weigh at close to 200 pounds. It's super heavy. It's big. So sometimes you would need to rent a truck or have a truck in your business to even
Right.
fit that thing to transport it, you know, and get it in your car. And if you can fit it in your car or in your pickup truck or something, it's going to take, like you said, two people to get it in there. And then to set it up and bring it into the venue. Like I said, there's been times where even with the venue giving us their loading zones, you still have to crawl through their kitchen just to get into the venue. And even though that's considered a more easier portable way to get into the venue rather than go through where the clients go, it's still a pain in the butt. So, like Drew has, and, I haven't got one yet, but I'm actually considering it now, is bringing that little wagon. When you have the digital, iPad photo booth, um, you could just put it right in the wagon with your prop table, your little props, just and wheel it right in. Another thing good to have is the door stoppers. So you just put the door stoppers on, you put them on the venue door, so you could just get in even more faster. And that just goes to show how more easier it is to own a photo booth business and have it to be more portable. Plus, the iPad photo booths, I think Drew actually said it in one of the last podcasts that he fits like 4 or 5 of his deluxe photo booths inside of his little car that he has, because he has one of those little 4-door cars. And I'm like, wow, that's insane that he could fit 4 to 5 of those cases inside, which means that's more photo booths that he could just drop off. Again, that's another thing that we can get to, where the digital photo booth compared to the DSLR, you could drop off a digital photo booth, the iPad photo booth. You can't drop off a DSLR. You have to be there because that thing's run off of one of these little DSLR cameras. If something happens to the printer, if something happens to the camera and it
The
loses
flash, the
focus,
hot shoot.
yeah, it hot shoot, it just troubleshoots or something, and then maybe it starts getting blurry. You got to be there to fix it. With the digital photo booth, not saying that things could happen, because if you're doing a print event for a digital photo booth, yes, you have to be there. But if you're doing the drop off only digital, 99% of the time you're gonna just drop it off and there's gonna be no problems. Not saying there might not be. Sometimes the internet might slow down, the pictures might not get sent. There can be problems, and I'm not saying that the iPad, the digital photo booth
But
has
that's
it.
where you set expectations, though, because even when I do my drop offs, I'll tell them like, look, it's if the internet goes bad, or we have bad reception, or if I'm connected to your Wi-Fi and something's going on, I'll tell them like, tell your guests to keep taking pictures. If they could airdrop it because you don't need internet. And the
Yeah,
ones that text it to themselves, I'm gonna connect it to the internet as soon as they get back, and they're all gonna get it. But
yeah, they're
set
all
an expectation where like it's instant. Don't tell them it's instant. I don't use the word instant. I tell
yeah.
them like, you'll get it in 24 hours or less.
Yeah, well, here then that's perfect where you said that, because you said that. Because great thing about Salsa, which is my software that I use, is that it actually tells them that. So after they're done taking the picture and they hit save, or they'll hit like next, after they send the message through like their phone number, email, or QR code. Well, QR code will go straight to them. They'll get it. But if they text it or email it to themselves, it'll say a message like, this photo will come within 24 hours or less. So like
Exactly.
they're already giving them a heads up that this could take up to 24 hours, to take the picture. I mean, for the picture to get to your phone, which already gives them a notification. Hey, you might not get this picture within 24 hours, which is great that they offer that kind of like that notification. So I've even had clients take the picture. They're like, oh, it's gonna come in 24 hours. I'm like, no, it usually comes right away, but that's just in case the internet's bad, because there's been times the internet's bad, and
Mm.
you have to wait until you go back home, or when you go back to a better area with reception, and that's it. So
Yeah, I don't want to get sidetracked, but we should explain like how to market it. Because I could market the iPad photo booth for like, why do you want to buy it? Why it's the best way to start. But how to market to the customer? What I always tell them, there's two things that I always like talking about. Boomerang is super freaking cool, you know, and I could lower the cost and not undercut them. It sounds bad, but like I could lower the cost where this digital photo booth is going to be more affordable and you could have it all day. than if you hire someone with a DSLR photo booth. And good luck the DSLR person, beating your prices when you're just doing a drop off. So I mean
Exactly.
that's something that you want to talk to the client like, I'm gonna drop it off. It's gonna be great. It's not
Yeah.
a
And
DSLR
again,
that you
and
requested, but
again, and again, no shame to the people in the DSLR photo booth business. I think it's great. I think it's a great way to make money because,
professional.
like Hans just said, you could charge way more than us little iPad photo booth guys who are charging less. But I've even had, and I've talked about this with Drew on the last podcast. I believe it was the one that you weren't there for. I told him, I said, there's been situations where I've had people who are 20 plus years in the business actually reach out to me on my Instagram and say, hey, like, what's your prices, whatever. And I'm thinking that they're just looking for advice. And I'm like, okay, well, these are my prices. This is what I usually charge. And they're like, oh, no, you should be charging more. This is what I charge for my mirror booth and stuff like that. And I'm like, and I start explaining to them, like, well, my booth does, GIF, boomerang, video, and all this stuff, and I'm offering it for this price. And a lot of these new mirror booths, I'm not gonna lie, I think they do have GIF, boomerang, and video mode. If I'm not mistaken, I know the new ones have those features.
Mhm.
Not sure how, but I have seen like videos of people doing like GIF or like boomerang with a DSLR booth. Again, it's probably for the newer ones, but for the people who are 20 plus years in who still have those big box DSLR booths with the curtains and stuff, those are the people who are telling us new people, like, hey, you guys should have like one of these, like, these prices. You should be charging $1,000+. This business is, for your bread and butter, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, man, I could charge 500 and I could drop it off. I could go catch a movie with my wife or go grab some dinner, and then I'll come back and pick up my photo booth. That's just about it, man. It's just how, they get upset, but it's just new technology, new generation, man.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, well, I mean, those are the pointers I have. I mean, just tell them like you could drop it off. You could fit it mostly. If they want to limit space, they are smaller. You could fit in. I do have I landed a job at a pretty popular venue near me called I think there's two of them that same weekend. It might be a Casa Torres here in Silmar area. But they said that they only allowed a photo booth if it only takes up 5 by 5 foot area. I'm
And
like,
that's and
I can
that's
make that work.
and that's another thing about the digital photo booth is that these digital photo booths are small. You could set up a little backdrop and you have your photo booth, boom, right there, just literally
And
just
tell that to the customer. That's what I'm
and
saying.
boom.
Tell that to the customer.
It's portable, it's reliable, and it's small, and it's fun, and a lot of people could squeeze in and take pictures. Like when my LED inflatable, at least 10 people could go in that thing and take pictures. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's about it for the podcast. But if Hans, you want to break the news to everyone, since you're almost like our mascot right now, dressed up like this. So
I Well, I was hoping. You know what? Let's let's wait for Drew.
uh,
They got a hint. They got a hint though.
they got a hit. Okay, fine. We'll wait for Drew. We'll wait for Drew. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you guys liked us without Drew today. Tell us how we did below in the description. Follow us. Our stuff will be there. TKR_events, and Hans's tag will be under there. So if you want to put your stuff out there, Hans, go for it. And I know Drew will put it once he uploads this.
Yeah, man. You know where you could find me. Best Photo Booths LA and Tito's Turtles, man.
Yes, sir. And hey, guys, if you guys can, message us some questions. We'll read your questions and put it live on the podcast. Like, we'll talk about it.
Especially if you message me on IG. Sometimes I try to read the comments on the YouTube video,
Yeah,
but
but
if you
specifically for
message us on IG, we're gonna see it.
this video, I want YouTube comments. I want to see some YouTube comments, and we're going to answer them on the next podcast. I'm going to answer the first three that people ask. Okay, we're going to answer the first three questions that people ask
I
on
like
on
that.
this channel. Okay, so the first three questions I see, I'm going to heart them, and those are the questions I'm going to save for next week's podcast when Drew is back, and we could all answer them together, guys. But until then, we will see you. Thanks for watching, guys, and we hope you learned a lot about portability for your photo booth. Access to get in through, and having a logo on your shirt, branding yourself to benefit yourself as your promote, your business, put yourself out there, and obviously be able to work with the venue, use their little, back doors and stuff like that to get in, the marketing, the difference between the DSLR and the photo booth. But until then, guys, we will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Woo!